if it wasn't for God. Like, I don't know how people deal with grief and just like trials and tribulations without God, because I feel like it's already hard. So I don't know how they do it, but I have to say, God is the reason why I have been sustained through that journey. It definitely hasn't been an easy one. And I was just talking to a friend last night, and I was telling her about a word that God gave me a while ago, and it was that you have to make sure that your mindset is not one of logic or a realist, because it doesn't make room for God to do miracles.
Welcome to The Narrative, a podcast of untold stories, a place where silence is broken, secrets are unearthed, and stories find their voice. I'm Dr. Crystal Ann England, therapist, storyteller, and your guide for healing through truth. From intergenerational wisdom to identity, race, purpose, and power, this is a sacred space for the stories we were never taught to tell, but always needed to hear. Because healing begins when our stories are spoken. Welcome. This is The Narrative of Untold Stories. My name is Dr. Crystal Ann England, and today I have a very, very special guest. I am with my dear friend, Sherria Green. Let me read you guys a little bio, okay? You ready? Sherria is an educational consultant with passion for creating emotionally safe, brain-based environments for young learners. With over 2 decades, y'all, I know she don't look like, because she look really young, right? Over 2 decades worth of experience, the founder of Green Education Solutions, where Sherria creates SEL curriculum and behavior support designed for real world, not like the Pinterest stuff, right? Real world classrooms and real emotions. So if you are an educator, if you're a principal of a school, if you are a teacher, and you know that your classrooms and your educational environment could benefit, you want to stay tuned and hear what Sherria has to say, y'all. Okay? You know, we met many, many years ago at church, at your church.
Yes.
Right? A mutual girlfriend of ours introduced us. And then ever since, we just
Inseparable.
never let each other go. Right?
Exactly.
Through all the things of life and the ups and downs and all the things in between. And, you know, when I met you, I believe I met both your parents too. I believe at that time.
Yes, they were both alive and you met them. It's true.
We're both alive, right? And I wanted to start off with that part because I feel like sometimes that the grief is such a huge part of what then pushes us into the life that we then create after, right?
Yes.
So can you take us back to a moment when you first realized that life as you knew it had changed, when both of your parents were gone? Like, what was that like for you?
When both of my parents were gone, first of all, the grief was just so different with both of them. But when both of them were gone, I felt like an orphan. It was like, oh my gosh, I have no more parents left. They're not going to be here for the milestones in my life. They're not going to be here like when I have a child or when I get married or all these other things, right? So it hit me and it was like, oh my gosh, I feel like an orphan. Was very sad. It was very hard to navigate grief. But I got through it. And I think me losing my dad first helped a little bit with the grief. Even though it's different than losing like a mom, right?
How would you say, Sherria, like when you think about the difference, like what did it feel like for you to lose your dad versus your mom? Like,
I don't know if it had anything to do with it being the last parent or our mom, but it was something about that last parent that you're like, oh my gosh, like there's no one I can go to. I have no more parents. Like, and they're, they were pretty young, like 68, like in their 60s. And so I remember just how to cling on to God. and reminding myself that I'm not an orphan. He is my heavenly father. He's going to help me navigate this grief. And it comes in ebbs and flows. I have good days and I have bad days. I have good days where I'm like, oh, I just remember, I just have like these memories that I cherish and it's beautiful. And then I have days where I'm just like, I hear a song or I think of a memory and I'm like sobbing. But one thing I did learn, and my therapist did tell me this, she's like, you cannot control your grief and when it's going to come. So she's like, when those tears fall, and they fall like right before you're going into work, she's like, I know you're worried about your eyes being red, bloodshot, what you're gonna look like. She's like, you need to let them come. And that's one thing that I have learned is just to allow myself to feel when I need to have all the feels. It's okay. The timing is not always going to be the ideal timing.
Yeah.
But I have to say that if it wasn't for God, like, I don't know how people deal with grief and just like trials and tribulations without God, because I feel like it's already hard. So I don't know how they do it, but I have to say God is the reason why I have been sustained through that journey. It definitely hasn't been an easy one.
But I love what you said there, Sherria, that your therapist reminded you to just don't try to control the grief, right? Because sometimes, and I'm sure you've probably heard this, people will say, girl, it's been how many years since your dad has been gone or your mom has been gone, right? It's so long ago. Like, long ago for who?
I know. Where's the empathy? I think people think it's just like one way and one strategy for all, right? Even if I meet another person today and they have lost both of their parents, the way they grieve is going to be totally different. Their loss is going to still be totally different because everyone grieves differently. So I think it comes from, being just ignorant, right? And also a lack of empathy sometimes when people are like, it's been so long and they say time heals all. Time doesn't really heal all.
You know who said that? I really believe, true, that the person who said that was someone who didn't lose nobody. Because anyone who has lost someone knows that that's not true.
Exactly. So that's why sometimes I'm very like, I don't know if I even wanted to share like my grief and what it looks like unless I know that like someone truly understands or that you have lost someone. Because I feel like sometimes it's just so hard to explain. And I guess I just feel like I want to be like understood and accepted. And sometimes it is very judgmental. People don't really get it. They don't understand.
And I also think it's different for people with siblings, right? Because you have two sisters.
Yes.
And I'm sure for all three of you even,
we grieve differently.
How was that grief? Yeah. How did that grief manifest differently for the three of you as we were watching and participating?
Yes.
What was that like?
Yeah, good question because we're so different. Anybody that knows us three, they're like, you guys should have your own reality show because the dynamic between the personalities is so different. So I'm glad you mentioned
Forget
that.
about the Kardashians.
Forget
talk about the Green.
The Green sisters, okay? But we grieve differently. And it was kind of hard to navigate because it was kind of like, should I bring up this memory? No. It may make them sad. Or should I talk about this? I don't know how they'll feel about this. We all have like our little things where we feel like maybe, I wouldn't say guilt or shame, but still like trying to wrap our mind around how things transpired when it came to like losing our parents. So I think even though we were raised by the same parents, we're so different and we navigate life so differently. And so I think it's intentional to know how your loved ones are grieving and be intentional about things that you would say, things that you would do. There could be some things that are triggers, some things that may make them feel bad. So I think just being intentional and just knowing that like everyone grieves differently. You guys are all different, and being mindful of that as well.
So, when you think about how grief often reshapes how we see ourselves even, right? In the ways that we lose our parents, how has that loss shaped your now reality?
Well, I remember like when my dad we were caring for him, and he was dying from cancer. And I remember being in school, working full time with special needs kids. I was going to school full time for my master's, and I remember we lost him, and I almost didn't even finish my master's, but my professors were very understanding, and they're like, okay, it's okay if it's a little late or whatever. But I remember like going to the hospital, like caring for him, and then coming back home, and then trying to do work, and then going back. And I just remember after that, right after my dad passed, it was time to graduate. And I remember we had graduation, and I remember that they moved the date of the graduation to Father's Day. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to do this? Should I even go? But I just knew that my dad valued education. He was an educator himself, and he was so proud of me for even going back to school for my master's, and he would have wanted me to walk. So I went, but this was definitely a time where like I realized how resilient I was. You don't really know until you're given these situations. And it's like, yeah, I did that. I completed that against the odds, like everything that was against me. So I think even like Green Education Solutions and what I've created definitely has a big part of my parents and just their roles in my life. And they had a really good work ethic. They were all about education. They're very passionate about that. And helping others. They always had like a good heart toward others as well. So I think my belief, my relationship with my parents, and them now not being here definitely puts like some fire up my behind, because Green Education Solutions to me is not just a business. It's like a ministry almost. And it's something that God gave me, and it is his, right? So however he wants to use me in that, I want to make sure that I'm available. I'm his hands and feet, right? It's not about me, but it's about the teachers, the schools, the parents, and the kids that we serve. And so, yeah, that's what fuels my passion.
As you're talking about this, I can't help but go back into, so that people have a background and know this. I think there's something so different about when God gives you a purpose that he would like you to fulfill and complete, right? Versus what we're just like, oh, I'm going to do this career and I want to start this business because I want to make money, and everyone else is doing these things, so I'm going to do it, right? There's such a vast difference, because I know you and I would talk a lot about the vision that the Lord had placed on your hearts. And the way that sometimes you would fight and it wouldn't go away. And you wish that, Lord, what is this thing that you keep bringing back to my spirit?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And sometimes we fight it, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Or I'm not ready yet. I don't have the tools. I don't have the money. How am I supposed? So walk us through, like, what was it like for you to even trust yourself to be able to, okay, God, I don't know really how you want me to do this, but I'm going to just do what I feel like you're calling me to do, because now it's been years.
Yes.
Talk to the people about that.
Last year, I'd said I don't want the year to go by without starting Green Education Solutions. And it went by. And I was like, I can no longer sit on this, because it's not even about me. It's about how I can serve others. So I'm thinking about families. I'm thinking about all these people that need resources and tools. And the longer I wait and sit on it, it's just very selfish. Like, I can't do it. So I made goals for myself, and I was like, okay, by July, summer of this year, it's going to happen. And when I was even just talking to my friends, they were like, we're so proud of you because we remember you sharing your vision 7 years ago. And I looked back, and I was looking at my notes and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was been like about 7 years when I had this idea. And yes, it has expanded, and God has given me more details and more ideas, but the root of it started 7 years. And I was like, no, I cannot let it go any longer. So I was like, okay, Lord, in my mind, like you said, I don't feel like I'm ready, but I know I'm qualified because you think that I'm qualified, and you gave me these ideas. And so although everything may not be the ideal situation to start, I'm going to start it. I'm going to trust you because this is yours at the end of the day, and you're going to make a way. You're going to provide. And so there is a peace in knowing that you gave God your yes, even though everything in the natural is not connecting the way you thought it would. There is a peace in knowing that you are in God's will, you're in his purpose, and you gave him your yes, and you were obedient to him. And so now I'm just
word.
in this.
That word, girl. Oh,
you didn't know I was gonna take you to church today, huh? Well. So yeah, it was been like, okay, Lord, I'm just gonna give you my all. I'm gonna give you everything, and that's where I am. I launched in July. I was like, and the odds were against me, trust me. And I was like, you know what? It's gonna happen.
But you know what, Sherria? Something that I have learned, and when I tell you, I don't know how people don't believe, but that's a different story. But when I tell you, there is something, if God gives you the purpose, he is going to provide. He's not going to give you the purpose and then be like, hey, figure it out. If he gives you the purpose, he's going to provide.
So true.
So all you have to do is just show up. Now, sometimes it feels like we're standing there like, Lord, where is the provisions, Lord?
Exactly.
I'm waiting for the provisions. Whenever you're ready, send it on, right?
Am I passing the test? Am I doing?
But it's like one of those things that you don't know until you're walking through it. Like as you're going in the moment, you're like, wait, the door's opening.
Yes.
But if you stood there and you waited for the door to open, it wouldn't open.
Exactly.
But as you get closer, you're like, oh, wait, it's opening. It's opening.
Yes.
It's opening.
And even ideas. I knew I wouldn't have any more ideas for Green Education Solutions if I didn't decide to move. So as I'm moving, the Lord is dropping other things in my mind to do
But
through.
You
got to keep moving.
Yes.
That is the key. You got to keep moving. You got to give God something to work with.
Because you just standing there like, Lord, you told me you was going to provide.
Exactly. Now do your thing. Do what you do best. And I was just talking to a friend last night, and I was telling her about a word that God gave me a while ago. And it was that you have to make sure that your mindset is not one of logic or a realist, because it doesn't make room for God to do miracles, right? But in our mind...
No, girl, I need you to say that again. Say that, because that is a whole word. Say it again.
If you come from a mindset of being a realist or just having like logic, right? Like, oh, I'm not going to do this because it doesn't make sense to do this, or this is going to probably happen, then it doesn't make room for God to do miracles. And so you just have to come from a mindset of, in the natural, it looks like that's normal for you to think that way, but really that's not normal. That's not how God navigates and does things. So what's normal for you is not normal. What's normal for God is what's the norm. So thinking outside of the box, having a posture of, okay, God, you could do anything. You're big. This is nothing for me. Like, this is nothing for you. This is little for me. I mean, this is big for me, but this is little for you. This is nothing, right? So having that mindset of getting out of that, oh, the realist, oh, I'm not going to ask for that, or that can't happen. It doesn't leave room for God to do miracles in your life. And your faith has to meet that. He can only do but so much if your faith is there. If your faith is not there, he's limited. You're putting him in a box.
Yeah. Because even if those opportunities came, you wouldn't be able to see it, because you would say, well, that's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, because our little earthly minds can only comprehend this much. Oh, that can't happen. That's
so
too
true.
big. That's too big. And this time the Lord wants to give you this thing, this grand thing.
Yes.
And you then place constraints on it. Woo, I love that. So, Sherria, I think I'm also wondering, right? A huge part of your story has also been your move, right?
Yes.
After mom and dad died, and tell the people about this move. How, because I know you and I had so many conversations like, girl, what am I gonna go? Am I gonna stay? Am I gonna go? Am I staying? What am I doing?
Exactly. So I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, and I was like, this is my comfort zone here. I don't want to move to another state. My dad had passed. My sister, one of my sisters, had moved to Texas for a job, and then my other sister moved to Texas for a job too. My mom already knew that she wanted to relocate and wasn't sure, but it was confirmation when both daughters moved to Texas, right? So she moved there. I was still in Florida. I was like, I don't want to move just because everyone else is moving. Like, I'm going to wait for God to speak and guide me. And I also thought that this was a good opportunity to just learn more about myself too, because I had to lean so much on my family. When my dad passed, the plan was I'm done with my master's, I'll move out. But I didn't. I didn't want to leave my mom alone. So I stayed with her. So I was like, okay, now she has my other two sisters. It's okay for me to just, I feel better about what I'm doing now. So I want to say, was it 2.5 years I was there on my own? And I felt the Lord telling me, your gifts and your passion is too big for the classroom. So he was like, this is your time to move. It was right after the pandemic, right? So it was perfect because it's like you want to be near family. And then my mom wasn't doing that well. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely moving. Definitely a leap of faith. I knew God wanted me there, looked for a job, didn't find a job. So I'm like, okay, I'm staying with my mom and my sister at this point, and I'll just find a job. But I moved here and I ended up finding a job. I was there, to care for my mom when she was ill. And I was so glad that I moved when I did, because I was able to spend that time with her. And be able to help my sister too, care for my mom. But it was just so amazing that God spoke to me and said, yeah, I'm moving you to Texas. And he also said, everything is bigger in Texas. So I said, I like the way you talk. He said, everything is bigger in Texas, and it's strategic that I'm moving you here, that your gifts and your passions are too big for the classroom, and I'm going to birth something in you here. So I moved, and there just has been so many opportunities here. I think Texas allows you to have a lot of different job opportunities in the industry of education. I think in other states, it's kind of like you teach, you're a physical therapist or a speech therapist, maybe OT, and then that's it. Yeah, maybe. But I'm like, here, there's just so many things you could do outside of the classroom. And so it's afforded me a lot of opportunities. So that's how I ended up here in Texas, and I love it. I can't picture being anywhere else. I love visiting my hometown and my friends and the location, but I can't imagine living there again. It's just so different. But I do miss the culture, the diversity, and the food, because we foodie. We went around town with the food. You taught me a lot of places.
That we do.
That's what we do.
Well, Sherria.
That's our love language.
Sherria and I, we would do a little nice food tour.
Girl.
Whenever we can. We trying out new restaurants. Where are we going? Where are we going, girl? Where are we going?
Don't let Crystal Aaron fool you. She's small, but that girl, she know about the foodie spots, okay? She put me on to a lot of places.
Yes. Oh, my friend. We need to get together soon.
Yes, definitely.
Seriously. So tell me what lessons do you think from your parents have you learned, and how has this influenced you to teach and create within your business, like from your parents? Because I know, you've made a video and you've talked about how your dad has influenced some of the characters, and so talk about a little bit about that.
My dad used to be on a television show, a local television show in Miami, Florida called Duck Duck Goose. So a lot of people that are around my age may know what that is. But he was on a children's television show where he was on the ukulele. He was singing songs with his co-star, and he was interacting with kids. And so he ended up winning 2 Emmys for that show. And just loved children. He was an educator. He used to do like parties for kids, did all of these things. But I've learned from my dad, and particularly, that it didn't matter from what walk of life you came from, he was able to connect. It was like a gift to connect with everybody. The homeless person on the road, like he would bring them food and talk and strike a conversation, right? It didn't matter. And I think for me, his passion for education has influenced Green Education Solutions. His work ethic, his resilience, right? He's a very hard worker. And I think his loyalty. It wasn't anything that was taught to me, but it was something I observed. Like as a child, that I didn't even realize until I was like in my 30s, maybe 40s, that I'm like, oh, this is why I'm loyal. Because I saw my dad and how he interact with people. And I saw when like everyone else shunned that person and like he didn't. So I'm like, oh, this is why. So I always say it's not about what you say to the kids, right? It's what you do, your actions. But also when I came up with Green Education Solutions, well, before that, I was always like, oh, I would love to have like a children's kids show with like my dad, you know, as a little boy, you know, and I put it in my journal and I was like, okay, it's just one of the other things that I want to do, right? One of the 100 things. And then as I created my characters, God showed me how I can like incorporate him in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I can talk about his name, you know, helper, son of the right hand, like, and I can incorporate it. So I made a character called Benjamin the Braveheart, and he's all of the things my dad was. And so I had 10 characters, but he played a big part in that. So that's how I would say like my parents have influenced Green Education Solutions.
What a beautiful tribute to that, right? So every
Yes.
time this character has an opportunity to shine, it is a piece, literally a piece of dad's essence,
Yes.
just shining on.
Yes.
Oh, right?
Yes.
And when we talk about legacy, when we talk
I
about...
was just about to say that. Exactly.
So say more, say more.
So one thing about Green Education Solutions that I love is that I'm going to be able to leave a legacy, and it's under my name, like my dad's name, right? I was always like, man, he never got a son, and he would have been such a good father for a son, right? But I'm like, oh my gosh, like when we get married or whatever, like we're going to lose like our name, like we're going to lose like that legacy. And I'm glad that I'm able to use Green in Green Education Solutions and just have that legacy, not only like for his name, but like for me too, like the Green family. We are leaving things here. A program that's going to still be able to have a great impact on families, schools, kids, parents, teachers. And what a great reward to be able to, I have so much gratitude that God thought of me when he created Green Education Solutions. Like when I think about it, it's so grand and there's so many different facets and different programs and services that it encompasses. And I'm like, gosh, God, like you thought of me and you wanted me to do this and you thought I was qualified for this. It's so grand. And I'm so privileged to be a part of it.
It's interesting how we see ourselves versus how other people see us, right? Because all along, I've always seen you as grand and huge and big and this personality that can do anything, like honestly, anything, right? And other people can see that light sometimes that we don't always see in ourselves. And we know God can see it because God created it, right? And it's just so interesting when finally, I hope and pray one day, Sherria, that you will recognize how big your own light, right? That there'll be a moment where you go, yes, yes.
That's great.
Because
So
I think
sweet.
other people
Thank
already
you.
see that,
Yeah.
right? And I think other people already see that within you
Thank
and
you.
have always seen that, which is why they're like, come on, girl, birth the thing.
That's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. And I'm always like, okay, Lord, I want your light to shine through me. So the fact that you're like, your light is so big, how can you not see? That's great. It's a testament. So thank you. It's all God.
All that. So, and I mean, I guess this is a perfect segue into this question of how has your spirituality, your intuition guided you to your purpose?
I think a while back I was like, gosh, like what is my purpose? Like what am I called to do here? I was like, okay, like I grew up in the church. I don't really have like this major testimony like these other people that's like, oh my gosh, my life was like this way and then it turned this way. And I was like, well, I kind of just gave my life to the to
Hold
the
on.
Lord.
I need to pause you. I need to pause you all the way. Pause, pause, pause. Sherria,
I know that was a mindset. I told
okay, y'all, I'm pausing her because obviously I know her story because she's my girlfriend and we've been friends for many years. The amount of things that Sherria has gone through, right? I mean, even going back to when you were in school and just the challenges,
oh my
right?
gosh,
And you
yes,
and
you
I
already
would
know.
talk about, and I think that even this gives you such an edge up on so many other educators because, for example, right, like as a therapist, I can talk all day to people about grief, but if I've never lived grief, it's different. But
Yeah.
because I've lived grief, I understand in a very different way, and I have a certain edge about me that might put me in a different place than maybe other therapists because I've experienced it. The same way with you, because you know what it is to have certain challenges, to be that student or to be that person that might need a little bit of extra love and care, that learns a little bit differently in certain areas. Girl, same, right? Like you understand in a very real way why a child might be having a meltdown every math
Hmm.
class, right? Because
Yes.
this is something that I don't want to tell your story, so I'm going to let you tell that part.
Okay, so would you like me to share that story? Okay, so Crystal Ann has been with me through a lot of stages in my life. But one of the ones was when I had finished schooling. I went to Nova Southeast University, got my bachelor's in early childhood education, got my master's in brain-based teaching. So I was like, I'm set. I can now go and get a job. I don't need to take any exams. Now they have it where you have to take these exams before you even get your degree. They didn't have it back then, so I didn't know. So I'm working, right? And they're like, yeah, you're going to have to take these tests in order to continue teaching. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you're going to have to take like reading, English language arts, you're going to have to take math, science, all these things. So I go and I take these tests. It comes when it gets to math. Anybody that knows me, I'm not a fan of math. And it's just not my strong suit. When it came to math, I couldn't pass it. So I'm like, okay, Lord, you're trying to humble me? Because you're like, okay, you work it, you're a teacher, you got your bachelor's and your master's, you've been teaching for some time, but you're really humbling me now because now I can't pass this math test? This math test I'm supposed to find validation in, that's supposed to tell me if I'm a good enough teacher to be able to teach. So I was like, okay, no, this is horrible. I want to say I probably took that test like 10 times. Crystal Ann was a sweetheart. She like tutored me. One time she was so patient. Like on the weekend, she'd be like, okay, here's the paper. This is what we're going to do. Bless your heart. Sacrificing your time and your energy. But I eventually passed that test. I eventually passed it. But what God also taught me too through that was that you were finding validation in like a certificate or a degree, or if you can pass a test or not. And he was like, yeah, no, like this does not define you. This doesn't mean that, and it's no longer your purpose or your calling or no longer your gifting because you're struggling in this area.
And you did it. And you did. That would have been an opportunity that so many people would have walked away, Sherria, and you didn't. You kept. You were like, no, this thing is not going to take away. And you kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I hear you talking about, oh, you don't have a testimony, what you mean?
Well, that was the old mindset that I was like, I don't feel like I have anything to give.
Back in
right?
the day.
But but now, like all these things that I've gone through, I have like a story, I have like a testimony, like my whole life, like you said, right? And you don't realize how resilient you are until you have to go through these things. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, I accomplished that, or I overcame that, right? And yeah, I think I pretty much wear it well. Like a lot of people don't know unless you have a conversation with me, what I've been through. What have I accomplished in the mountains I had to climb to get over to the other side that I'm still climbing, right? But I'm trying to just stay in a posture and attitude of just gratitude, just having faith, staying in the word, praying and clinging to God, because that's the only way I'm going to get through this.
But you know, I think a lot of times, Sherria, people don't know unless they talk to you because of, again, back to that light. Because you, even when you're just sitting, you're shining, right? Like there's always this light reflecting from you. So people wouldn't see it. But I think that also speaks to the way that you use the things that came up in your life and you haven't allowed them to take away, right? If anything, it adds.
Yes.
And anyone who sees you, you're always smiling, you're always laughing, you're always telling a story, right? It's always, and it's not from a place of pretense, but it's a place of like joy, and it's genuinely who you are. And I'm so grateful that I have had the opportunity to witness and to stand by you in all of the seasons of life and be like, yes, girl,
cheer me on. Yes, Crystal Ann has always been my cheerleader. Always, always someone. I remember calling you, and the first thing I would ask is, are you busy? And your response, I'll never forget, is always, I have time for you. Like, what do you need? And that always meant so much to me. That is so rare. Like, you don't find that. So the fact that you always made time and space for me means a lot. So I have valued our friendship throughout the years as well.
Yes. Yes, girl. I'm so proud of you. So in leaving now today, what is it that you want the people to walk away with? What is a piece of advice that you would give someone who is trying to find their way in the world?
I would say make sure you find God and you're praying about what it is, right? I think sometimes our minds are so clouded, and we're so used to being comfortable and staying in our job or staying in the position that we're in. And I think it's good to ask God, what is it? What is my purpose? What is my calling? What is it that I really need to do? So I would say prayer. I would say reading the word, because I feel like that book is always alive. I could read the same scripture 2 years ago, but I read it today, I'm going to get a different revelation, right? So I would say, yes, get in the word, and pray, but just be seeking him. And it may be while you're in the shower. It may be a dream. It may be while you're driving, but he drops things into your spirit and into your mind. Whenever you get that, make sure you jot it down so you don't forget, and start moving. Don't wait till the ideal situation or environment is going to come up, because it's never going to be the right time.
I love that.
Be obedient. Give God your yes.
Give God your yes. Let the people say amen. Yeah, I love this. Sherria, you came and you took the people to church today.
I did.
You're such a blessing for the spirit, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So tell now the people, where can they find you on social media? Give them your website. If you have one, tell them. Where can they find Sherria Green?
So you can find me at greeneducationsolutions.com. That's my website. Instagram, I'm greeneducationsolutions.com. Green Education Solutions. And on YouTube, I'm Green EDU Solutions. And you can find me on Facebook. It's Green Education Solutions there as well. You can find me on Threads, all of the things. But when you go to any of my social media platforms, in my bio, there has a link. And on that link, it has my Thread, my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube, all of the things, and also has my website. And if they sign up, put their name and email, then they get a whole bunch of free resources that they have access to.
So basically, guys, please sign up because you definitely want to.
Yes.
Okay.
We want the free. The free speaks.
We love the free 99. Come on now. Come on.
Free 99.
And
I love
then
it.
when you love the resources that you get, because you will love it, because Sherria has poured her essence into it, then you go ahead and you contact her, and then you could pay for the program. All right. And let her know that you saw her here, right?
Yes, I'd love to know how you found me.
Yes, please let her know how you found her. And I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you for
Sherria,
having me. I
and
really appreciate it.
Of course. And if the people, because we didn't even get into the love life stuff. So people, if you guys want to hear all the things and you want to know more, because we got into this much.
Yes.
Only this much of Sherria's story. There is so much
more.
more.
This is true.
You guys want me to bring her back? Please let me know. I will happily bring her back and we can dive in.
Well, I feel like this could be like a dating session. She'd be like, call us at. She's single.
So let me know in the comments if you guys want me to bring Sherria back so we can talk about the love life stuff.
Yes, all of the things. Because you know I got stories.
Because she has stories.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Sherria.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Love you.
Love you too. Bye to all the people. Thank you again. This is the narrative of Untold Stories.